Happy Halloween, everybody. As you can see, it's closer to Thanksgiving than Halloween by now. I've been kind of busy this past while. As I go further with my YouTube videos, I'm trying to really balance all the stuff that I'm doing. It's hard trying to prioritize everything. However, that's not why you're here. You're here for Halloween. Spooky time, spooky time, spooky time, spooky time, spooky time, spooky time, spooky time. And the only thing that's scary about this video is the quality of the movies we're talking about. The Halloween franchise varies in quality throughout. The ones I'm talking about today are the new ones. The Halloween from 2018, as well as Halloween Kills. Halloween 2018 proclaims itself as the true sequel to the original 1970s film, but it feels way too late. This should have been made in the 80s, and I'll explain why later. This film is a bumbling mess with horrible writing. Nothing is satisfying about this movie, and the characters are just stupid throughout the whole runtime. And they're not even stupid in a fun way. By the way, just FYI, I'm spoiling both films. That's your warning. You've been warned. This movie, let's face it, was only made to make money, and that's it. For a film that is a true sequel, that is decades later to finally come back and complete this story, it feels like it was written literally on the way to set. It's just another awful Blumhouse bullshit with sprinkles of the original Halloween film throughout. It's like the filmmakers were like, hey, remember this song? Remember the scene where the guy had the sheet over him? Hey, remember the laundry? Really? This movie doesn't have an original bone anywhere in its body. The twists in this film are just lame, and I was not interested in anything. There are a group of people that like Halloween movies just for the kills, just to see some dude in a mask kill people. Well, if that's what you want, this one is completely disappointing. It takes forever for the kills to start happening, and once they do start happening, it is so lame. The one kill that probably would have been interesting was done off screen. Ain't that coolio? Jamie Lee Curtis returns as a paranoid Laurie that has a goal to fight back against Michael. Doesn't that sound familiar to anybody? It's almost like the James Cameron films from the 80s. You know, films that took a more action approach to horror films, like Alien and Terminator, you know, where the main character, you know, fights back against the scary shit. Which means this movie is like 40 years too late to the party. Now, let's go back to the beginning of the 2018 movie. This movie takes place decades from the events of the original Halloween film. That means Michael is like 70 years old now. There's nothing threatening about an old man.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Now this film tries to take a serious approach to the previous original movie. The film tries to put the human back in the monster, but they don't commit to it at all. It was just pointless fluff, stuck into the movie that goes nowhere. The writing and the dialogue of this movie absolutely sucks. People just throw up exposition throughout that is clearly just for the audience to take in. Like when the journalists are interviewing Laurie about the night that happened in the original film, aren't the goals of these journalists to get information from Laurie? You know, to get her perspective of the events. They're the ones wanting information, but for some reason, they're the ones giving the information to Laurie. Like, why are you saying this? So to move forward, I'm going to just list off all the characters, just so you remember. So the characters at play are like it matters actually. Laurie Strode, Michael, Allison, Cameron, the dad, I forgot his name, and the mom, I forgot her name. The cowboy man, the doctor man, who's the new Loomis. I think that's it. Everyone else is just like, you know, moving on. Laurie Strode is trying to deal with her past, while Michael Myers is getting transferred into an insane asylum. But oops, the van crashes. Doesn't that happen in another Halloween movie? Even if it wasn't from Halloween, isn't that like overdone? Isn't that a trope to have a bunch of quote-unquote insane people escape from a bus crash? Oh no, that's bad. The crazies are out. Oh. During the crash scene, a kid and an old man happen to stumble upon the crash, but only at the end of the crash, however. How convenient. The movie doesn't show the crash because that doesn't matter. What really matters is that Michael's out and he's ready to kill people. The dad decides he should go out and investigate the accident, but when he takes too long, The kid also decides to go out, but this time he brings a gun with him to investigate. Now, there's a lot happening and there's a lot to take in, but I really just want to slow down and really talk about how stupid that kind of is. From these two geniuses' perspectives, there was a crash where people could have been severely hurt and injured, and the kid decides to bring a gun. Why would he think to bring a gun? I understand how the audience, we know that Michael is out and about and that there's a threat, but did the kid know that Michael was on the bus? Did the kid know Michael was out on the loose? Nice. The kid then decides to go onto the bus, and what happens next is truly beautiful.
Don't shoot!
Oh my god. The kid literally just shot someone because he was scared. What? This kid's gonna grow up to be the perfect cop one day. Why bring the gun? Why? When the cops figure out that old Mickey is out and about on the loose, they decide not to tell anybody due to not causing a panic. I wonder how well that's gonna work. Good job, cowboy cop. Now let's move and talk about a specific scene from the original movie. This scene can come off kind of silly, but there's a charm to it. In the original film, there's a scene where you can see Michael in a car driving by while Loomis is in the foreground talking. And Loomis is like, where is Michael? What is happening? But he just drives right behind him. It's a fun and kind of silly scene that kind of acts like a joke. It almost acts like a setup and punchline. I didn't know if they were gonna do something like that, but knowing that this movie was just doing repeats of the first movie, I was kind of expecting a scene like this to happen. And they did do it to a degree, but the way they did it was really weird and not really effective at all. So in the 2018 one, you can see Mikey Boy just out of focus in the background, which would have been interesting on its own. You know, with people wondering, oh, was that actually Michael? Ooh. But the music starts to rise and you start seeing him grab people in the background. And from that moment, the subtlety is just gone. It wasn't creepy, it wasn't adding any levity to the scene. Like this entire movie, it does and says nothing. Moving on to what feels like the first actual kill of the movie, which is really far into the movie. Like everything, I'm just left disappointed at just how cheap and boring this feels. As I said earlier, this is the part that has that one kill that could have been interesting, but it's never shown. I'm pretty sure they did that just to save money rather than it being for dramatic purposes. Later in the film, the daughter of Laurie Strode is out with her boyfriend at a Halloween dance or something like that, I don't know. And her friend is babysitting, just like the first movie. Fun fact, in the original Halloween film, the kids that Laurie is babysitting is watching The Thing from Another Planet. 4 years later, I believe, John Carpenter would make the sequel just called The Thing. Pretty cool. Anyways, in the 2018 one, it just follows the same old thing. You know, yes, this is a sequel, not a remake. I feel like this is a great place to mention a character that was really weird to me. And the character mentioned is Cameron. The actor didn't do a horrible job or anything. It's just that the writing character of this guy really was just inconsistent. And there wasn't even that much they gave him. For most of the movie in the beginning, he didn't say much, but he was very respectable and calm and a nice person. However, in the middle of the movie, he's confronted with his girlfriend about possibly cheating, oh no, and he just randomly turned into like an aggressive asshole, and he grabbed her phone and just threw it against the wall. It came out of nowhere. It really felt like psycho shit. And I was just thinking, you know, when something like that feels out of place, it's probably just to serve for the plot. And what do you know? When Laurie was desperately trying to contact her, she of course didn't have her phone. Damn, how does somebody get that good at writing, huh? The further I go into this movie, the less I care about anything. I'm just sitting back, like, kind of numb to all of it now. Some time has passed from this point, and Michael Myers is kind of just going around killing random people. Some old, some a lot younger. Not babies, though. Not babies. After leaving this freshly orphaned child, Michael is now just hanging in a kid's bedroom for some reason, and some shenanigans ensue. I just want to reiterate that this shenanigans that we see right here would not be happening at all. All of this could have been prevented if the cowboy man actually did his job. Good job, cowboy man. By the time that the word is actually getting around that Michael's out partying and stuff, by this point they sprinkle about the idea that the new doctor guy who's the new Loomis, quote unquote, and I love that they just call him the new Loomis. I don't even think he has a name. That he might actually be a bad guy doing bad things. And what do you know? The new Loomis guy was actually bad. How could we have guessed this? And kills the cop right in front of Allison just to save Michael. In my notes that I took while I was watching the movie, I wrote down, I hope they don't actually make the new Loomis bad, because that would be really stupid. This movie always goes for the easiest route, the simplest ideas. It's upsetting, my day is ruined, and I'm never gonna recover from this. Later on, when Laurie is preparing for Michael, she shows a gun rack, and on the rack there's a crossbow. Okay, that would be so awesome. But of course they don't do that because they don't do anything interesting or fun. Not too much later, the new Loomis guy, along with a cop, finds Allison, and out of nowhere they just discover Michael in the middle of the road. And the cop guy was just like, fuck the judicial system. By this point, I was just writing stuff down like, this bad, that stinky. Really just analyzing every detail of this movie at this point. I was in agony. For the big finale, Laurie's plan was to finish off Michael, but there's no police or backup, just, you know, her and her loved ones out there ready to just throw to hands. Like, that's a good idea. And the dad straight up just eats it like 2 minutes later. Just kicks the bucket, just dies. The last half hour of the movie was just some stupid home invasion, poor fight scenes. Throughout the movie, there was a secret bunker under Laurie's house. You know, that's smart, it makes sense. However, when they were hiding, Laurie just fires a shotgun round into the ceiling. Why would you do that? What if that was someone else trying to help you? It's so dumb. The whole end was just a sloppy-doppy mess. It ended with a dramatic fire scene. Yet, of course, they don't show any final blows or anything to Michael. They keep it ambiguous. It's not satisfying. This was not a fun experience for me. And by the second half of the film, I felt like the guy from A Clockwork Orange. And since I talked about the original movie, I might as well just say some nice things about it. The first Halloween film, during the time it was released, really changed a lot about slasher films and most horror films in general. The budget was very small for the time being, and they did some really cool stuff with what they had. And when John Carpenter actually had some money and a budget behind him, he made what some consider to be the best horror film ever made. This guy has crafted quite a legacy, and with a mixture of horror and action movies from the 80s that have that well-known 80s style that everyone just knows and loves. So when compared to this movie right here, it shows the true laziness of how genuinely uninspired this movie comes across. The only thing this film offers is just a worse experience of the original film. Horrible movie, it sucked ass, 2 out of 10.
Let's all go to the lobby.
Alright, let's huddle up. This is the second half. Now that dumpster fire is over, thank God, let's jump into a potentially worse movie. Aww. Halloween Kills from this year, 2021, picks up on the same night as 2018. From the start, I will say, there's at least a charm that I was enjoying more than 2018 one. In coming out of it, I felt like there was at least more positive emotions. In the movie Halloween Kills, unlike in the 2018 film, where everyone was just walking around like nothing was happening, the town is now starting to learn that the Mikester is walking around and a bunch of small militias form just to hunt Michael down. There's an immediate humor and absurdity to this manhunt that I find really funny. I don't know how much of this was supposed to be funny, but I laughed a lot. It's pretty funny that random people, some also in their 60s, are just trying to hunt down and kill a well-known serial killer. I was engaged. It was like watching a shit show take place. My problems with the logistics of the previous film still stands here. Again, Michael is way too old to be taking straight up hits with cars, bats, and straight up just exerting force throughout an entire night. This movie starts with a flashback to cops in the 70s looking for Michael Myers. They go to Michael Myers' old house, and this goofy cop is staring out the window, and suddenly, Michael just grabs him. And do you know what his partner does? Go on, guess.
God damn it!
Great job, dude. You know what? I actually think it's the kid from the first film. He's all grown up now. It cuts to the present day with the boyfriend character back to his normal, just a guy self. We're not gonna talk about that crazy episode he had? No? Alright. I wonder why. Maybe because the script calls for it. Michael Myers' true opening in this movie, pretty freaking epic in this one. He walks out of the building in straight Mortal Kombat. It's like 8 firefighters, straight fatalities and all. This is what I'm talking about. I'm really glad that they are at least not taking it seriously. Just have fun with it, you know? That's all I ask. The Cowboy Cop returns. And I don't know if I already said this, but that hat is fire. There needs to be more cowboy cops that are just dog shit at their jobs. So the militias are starting to form. However, they're in their infancy, and somebody says this.
Shit, I forgot my stethoscope.
Come on, baby, we gotta get home.
That lady still has it. Here, I'll be right back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one? Yeah, sure. I'll be right back.
Never say, I'll be right back. That guy's dying, for sure. Not too much longer in the movie, a group of people go out in search of Michael, but anybody can figure out where this one's going. I don't think I need to say anything about that. I'm just gonna leave that by itself. All I will say is Michael is so good at killing people that he can kill people without actually doing the work. That's awesome. Later on in the movie, all the old people are kind of just sitting around reminiscing about the good old days with Mikey Mike, and it comes off really strange. They talk about him fondly, like he's an old fishing buddy or something. Didn't he kill your loved ones? And you're kind of smiling about it. It's weird. Now we're at the middle-ish of the film, and we are introduced to the best characters in the movie. A gay couple called Big John and Little John. I find that really funny. Not that they're gay, of course, that's not it. It's the fact that they're both named John. There's an implication that a hierarchy of Johns exists in this world. Throughout the middle, people just walk around trying to look for Michael. One thing I quite like about this movie is that there's actual consequences to some of the actions on screen. There's people all around in like a hospital that was affected by good old Michelle. People are out in the streets searching for him. Everything feels more alive, and that things actually matter and have purpose in the film. Moving towards the ending of the film is really crazy. It's straight wild, and I was just on board with all of it. Because of the hunt for Michael, it causes a crowd of hysterical dumbasses, and they all go after the wrong guy. And this poor guy just jumps out of a building, and we get the best line of the entire movie.
Now he's turning us into monsters.
The Johns are sitting, watching a movie. The movie is called Minnie and Mousekewitz, and there's a good chunk of time dedicated to showing that movie, which is a little weird. Don't get me wrong, while Minnie and Mousekewitz is a good movie from John Cassavetes, it doesn't really have a purpose in this, you know, slasher film. Do you know what movie they should have been watching? The movie Scream. In Scream, a group of kids sit down to watch the movie Halloween. So in this movie, they should be watching people watching Halloween. And not only that, let's continue that. And what they should have done in the new Scream that's coming out, they should play this movie and continue it for the rest of the time. Now that we're off of the tangent, the Johns, they die. They just get murdered by Michael, and then they're gone. Rip Johns. I think it's safe to say the hunt was a complete failure. Most of the people going after him just died. But Allison and the boyfriend, whose name is Cameron, they're the ones, of course, who find Michael and try to take him down, and of course, it doesn't work. How many times are people gonna die before they realize that Michael is an ex-Navy vet, super soldier? However, Allison barely finds a way to get Michael trapped into a group of totally trained, drunken people ready to beat the shit out of him. And in the first half, they were doing a fantastic job. The biggest problem, just like the previous movie, is that no one decides to take a final blow to Michael. And what do you know? Mike finds a way to catch a second wind. I'm pretty sure this guy has the energy of like a nuclear test site. What's hilarious about it is Laurie Strode's character literally says something like, maybe next Halloween Michael will be back. Please give us your money, we're desperate. This movie was a shit show, but in the best way possible. Even though this film might technically be worse than the 2018 one, I liked it significantly more. All I really ask is just make it fun. That's all I ask for, you know? This movie is still awful and probably still not worth your time. That being said, I'm still giving this one a 3 out of 10. After sitting down and watching these two movies, I can safely say that I hate myself. But if you just want to be entertained and you only have these two movies to choose from, God bless your soul if you only have these two movies to choose from. But Halloween Kills kinda slaps, but take my word for it, find another movie. All I'm going to leave you with today is this. There are 12 Halloween movies, and the 13th one is being made, Halloween Ends. Do we really need 13 Halloween movies? I think it's time to close up shop on Halloween. Let it end, please. Do you know what I think we need 13 more movies of? Alvin and the Chipmunks. Your Honor, I rest my case. That's all I got for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'm not done editing, but I'm pretty sure this is my longest video. Let's go get 'em.